Hello guys, happy full moon in Libra. Okay, everybody knows full moons are about letting something go, right? And this one being in Libra, it's about looking at the relationships we have with things, habits, and even people in our life, and seeing and assessing like what is actually supporting us most in the season of life that we're in. What is actually benefiting you and the goals and aspirations that you have in life, but also what is supporting you in being in your fullness, your health and vitality. Probably scrolling on Instagram all day is not helping you, or before you go to bed. Maybe having an extra helping at dinner, even when you're already full, isn't helping you. That your relationship to food, your relationship to any other thing that you consume. And then also just remembering that whether it's with other humans or things, in our life, or patterns or habits, relationships are not always meant to be with us our whole lives. And it doesn't mean that the relationship was necessarily bad, or it doesn't mean that the relationship wasn't precious. It just means that it's time for a new season. And we are in Aries season, which is all about me, myself, it's the first, it's associated with the first house of you. And so what can you look at and examine? Remember, the full moon is the spotlight of like what is supporting you in life and what isn't. It's as simple as that. And how can you have a practice today in the coming days of journaling, meditation, self-reflection, slowing down and tuning in? What is supporting the benefits and health of your body and vessel that houses the spirit and soul of who you are, to be all that you want to be a good mom, to be a good spouse, to be a good team player at work, to bring in the gifts that you have in your person and self that you want to share with the world in this lifetime. And just one little gentle reminder that Nick and I keep talking about that I feel is so important is to remember that we are here to create from a place of joy. That is productive. It's really important in our culture and society. I feel like more than ever, with everything that's going on with the collective, what's going to happen with the economy, what's happening abroad, is to not put your head in the sand to those things that are happening, but to slow down and to remember to have time to do things that you love, to create. Even I have to constantly remind myself, if I'm not creating something and it's not generating revenue or, serving someone else, it's not worthy. If you want to create out of the pure joy of your heart, go paint, go play, go take a walk on the beach, write something down in your journal. No one else has to ever see it. That is productive. That's what we're here to do. Make some jewelry, mess up on it, and then start again, play, be creative. Coming back to that full moon, I'm going to draw a card here in a minute. I'm trying to keep this short and succinct. Just remember that it's really powerful to take time for tuning into these things. And that's what I love about astrology, is it's literally what's happening in nature. We are nature. We keep hearing, I keep in the circle that I am, where I'm listening to MIT, computer scientists, quantum theorists, physicists, and then, they're saying things that are mirroring these ancient spiritual paths of let's say yoga, meaning, I'm losing my train of thought now, but we are essentially here to evolve and to grow. And how do we do that? We do that through self-care. And what does self-care mean? It means having practices and taking time, knowing you are worthy of taking care of yourself in mind, body, and soul. I feel like we live in a culture where it's really okay to be in relationship with your body by working out, and even with your mind with let's say talk therapy. But how can you have deeper relationship with your whole self and really prioritize the self-care, soul care practices that create that daily devotion and practice for you? And to realize that any act of self-care is activism. It is influencing your community. We are electromagnetic beings. When you stand 8 feet from a person, your heart, its electromagnetic field is interacting with another's. So if your heart is being taken care of by yourself, you're practicing self-love. You're having practices of letting the day go, of having energetic boundaries. That is going to be felt by a person you don't even know next to you. That's impacting the world. That is changing the world. That is what we need in today's world, I believe, so much. So, lost my train of thought there for a second. I'm going to stop spieling. And the last thing I'll say, coming back to astrology, is this is a really important practice to kind of look at and examine editing in your life, what is supporting the relationship to self, the ultimate relationship to self, your relationships with others and things. Because as we go into the new moon in Aries, it's going to be all about setting intentions that are supporting the true identity and goals that you have going into, we just had the astrological, not just, but recently had the astrological new year. What is going to support you in deepening that relationship with yourself? I feel like a lot of us are being called, especially if you're a sensitive, a feeler, an empath, or a caretaker or a healer. We are being really called to take care of ourselves and find those practices that really sustain and nourish us so that we can see a shift in the world that I think a lot of us are longing for, because a lot of things are not working right now. And so it's up to us to, what do I want to say? Like usher in that revolution, that new way of being in our communities, in our families, in our culture. So I'll stop there. Let's look to the card. What is something to remember for this full moon as we go into April, into like full spring? Beltane is just around the corner. And just to everything I've been speaking about. Three of Wands. I saw 2. Wow. Okay. I feel like, so Wands always are speaking about like, what are you passionate about? What, creativity. I feel like also Wands for me, like lean towards leadership. I don't know why I say that, but I feel like the 3 of Wands with this is saying, hey, what is it that you want to put out into the world? What version of yourself do you want to put out to the world? Like, what do you want to nourish and cultivate and work on? And like, also, this is speaking to 3s are all about teamwork and group work. Who's going to actually support you in the passions, the creative projects or creative play you want to put out into the world? And how can you put your energy, put your attention to those people, those spaces, those activities, and trust that they are going to bring back all that you need to sustain and move forward? We're constantly wanting to move from our mind control of like, how are we going to get what we need? And I feel like this is just saying, tune into what lights you up, tune into relationships that support the creativity, the version of yourself and the things you want to put out into the world, and trust that when you nurture that, it will come back full force. Okay. All right. That's all for now. Last thing I'll say is tonight is Gong and Reiki. So if you haven't signed up, I think we're pretty close to a full class. Know that if you're visiting Ocracoke, you can sign up at any time. You can sign up ahead. We put the schedule out a month in advance. my words. And I'll stop there. Also tomorrow, if you're interested, we're doing Tarot Thursdays. Those will be happening weekly unless something comes up. You can do walk-ins or book on site, 11:30 to 2:30. I know it was high energy in this video. I was trying to make it as short as possible. If you followed me through to the end, many blessings and happy full moon.